Welcome back. We've received some disturbing reports from some of the ranger stations. Heavy casualties at Alpha, super mutant legionaries at Delta. The weirdest one has to be the Great Khans and their trained death claws at Foxtrot. These reports can't be accurate, can they? I know you've already been out there, but could you do me a solid and confirm these reports with the rangers who sent them in? Thank you, and good luck. Bye.
No sudden moves and you and I will do all right. What do you want? No, I didn't. You might hear that kind of nonsense from a drunk trooper on the strip, but not from me. The Legion doesn't have super mutants. That patrol was wiped out by its own incompetence. A couple of the troopers were fooling around with a grenade when it went off. Best of the best. That's all there is to it. Really nothing more to say than that. Keeping watch on the river and looking for anyone trying to cross it. The Legion likes to send infiltration teams over on rafts. See you around.
This is a military outpost. Why are you here? High casualties? We've had one broken ankle, but nobody at this post has died. Any injury, illness, or death gets radioed to Ranger HQ at Camp Golf. Chief Hanlon and his aides compile the reports and assign reinforcements as needed. And they're not needed here. There are other ranger posts around. Reyes might have mixed up the report. Reyes got the numbers wrong. Not much more to it than that. Ranger Station Alpha used to be the frontline outpost for NCR. When we moved on to the dam, this station has fallen into more a support role. For about 10 years now. Toughest training I've ever done, and was the proudest day of my life when I got my Ranger badge. Did you know that the first battle at Hoover Dam was won because of the Rangers? Legion had the numbers, but we had the skill. Have you ever heard the story of the bomber that crashed into the lake before the war? Supposedly it's mostly intact, even after all that time. So long.
Morning. No run-ins with the Great Khans, I hope. They've been more restless than usual. You must be mistaken. I haven't filed any report like that. Trained death claws? I would have remembered that. If someone is saying I filed that report, that's a load of crap. I won't have my name attached to a clerical error. Keeping watch on the Great Khans, mostly. They usually stick around Red Rock Canyon, but at least one large group left recently. We called it in, but haven't heard anything about any Great Khan incidents. Whatever they're doing, they're keeping a low profile. Tough, independent, and as ruthless as they come. They're holed up in Red Rock Canyon, and it's this station's job to keep an eye on them. Yeah, it's a damn shame. There was a lot of talk about expelling her from the Rangers, especially once the gambling and drinking started. Being posted here is her second and last chance, and so far, I'm not impressed. Link's jumpy all the time, and the others are sick of it. Be careful out there.
Morning.
Oh, hey. Watch out for Great Khans.
Hey.
Welcome back. I knew it. Every one of the false reports was signed off by Chief Hanlon at Camp Golf. But why would the Chief manipulate the reports? I need you to take everything we found to Chief Hanlon and confront him with it. I don't want to make this public unless we have to. Bye.
Evening.
Back west, you don't see too many of these. Lakes, I mean. Natural or man-made. Any kind, really. We neglected the dams or pumped all the water out a long time ago. Owens, Isabella, the San Luis. Drained the aquifers of everything they had. Just a lot of mud and dust now. It's a different feeling watching the sun come up over the water. Takes some getting used to. But if you're here long enough, it starts to seem normal. That's what a ranger's life is now, looking east. You must be the courier folks have been talking about. Word on the radio is that someone wronged you back in Good Springs. The Mojave has a way of burning decent people up. But it sounds like you've done right by the NCR. It's appreciated. Now what can I do for you? Interesting that she would wrangle someone else into sorting out the problem. But I suppose you're in the right place. A lot of intel comes through here. I don't know technical Sergeant Reyes, but coordinating intel can be messy sometimes. Things get mixed up, people get confused. Heck, I get confused, and I've been doing this for a long time now. What he or she sees as a problem might be standard operating procedure. That's not to say Reyes is wrong for being concerned, but it's easy for the sand to get in your eyes out here. It's a simple system when it works. Patrol rangers radio intel to ranger stations. Comm rangers send the intel up the station chain until it reaches Camp Gulf. Then I or one of the other rangers on duty organize the data, evaluate it, and send information to camps or troopers in the field. Comm rangers might have an incomplete picture of the situation. There's a lot going on out there. Intel needs to be coordinated through Gulf so we can verify and advise appropriately. Troopers have enough to deal with. We don't want them questioning their intel. Shoot. Folks around here call me the Chief, but Hanlon's just fine. The Rangers run themselves pretty well, but I try to lend a hand. Mostly administrative work, helping coordinate intel on the radio. That and keeping an eye on the fires growing across the water. Legion fires. They burn high wherever the Legion goes. Caesar's a hard man to figure out, but he always wants you to know when more troops are at your front door. Adios. You've come back to see the Chief. Nice of you to humor the radio tender. What can I do for you? I could tell you a lot if you had the time, but at my age, I'm not sure which of us would get tired first. What do you want to know? Suppose it depends on what you think's good. Most folks want to hear about Hoover Dam and Boulder City, but it's a long story. If you want some tall tales about hunting down slavers or busting up gangs, talk to one of the younger rangers. It's kind of a long one, but all right. About 25 years ago, a group of NCR settlers pushed way south into Baja. I guess it doesn't seem so far now if you look at a map, but back then they were out of ways. They built this little shanty town around a well in the middle of nowhere. Called it Rattletail. Word got back to one of our stations that raiders had been attacking the place. I went out with 6 rangers. We must have been on the trail for a week before we got to Rattletail. We lost one woman to night stalkers and another almost died of dehydration. When we reached the place, it's 6 shacks set up around an old well. There's over 24 bodies lying in the dunes way outside of town, and 5 men with .308 rifles crouched behind sandbags. And these bodies, these people out in the sand, they aren't raiders, aren't even heavily armed. They're just people who were trying to get to the only well in 50 miles. I didn't have to talk to the men to see that they did not care one bit. They had planted an NCR flag over the well, and they would not budge until every last one of them was laid out dead and cold. So I walked up and told them there was a group of raiders coming, 100 strong. I made up some cockamamie name for them and everything. The men looked at each other, looked at us, and asked me what we were going to do about it. I told them we would take them back into NCR territory because we'd already lost 10 rangers on the way out. 10 rangers, 5 men with .308 rifles. Well, that was enough for them. They packed up what they could and we took them back north. Last I heard, they settled somewhere in Anza Borrego. Raised bighorners. Had some tough times, but it worked out okay for them. So there you go. That's my one bit of good. Shoot. Not too long ago, they took Nelson and Searchlight. They got some camps on the eastern shore of the Colorado, and the monstrosity on the hill across the lake. That's for Caesar. Some folks don't believe he's here yet, but you can tell. He's the eye of the storm. It all roils and spins around him. You don't have to see the man to see the effect he has. Searchlight was worse. One of Caesar's frumentarii must have found something in there. Flooded the whole camp with radiation. Nelson was barely set up. We had a big stretch of unprotected land between Forlorn Hope and Searchlight, and Nelson was the solution. A deaconess named Dead Sea took the place and caused a lot of damage. By the way, I appreciate what you did for the troopers down there. Nelson might not be the most strategically important place, but taking Dead Sea out means a lot to them. Shoot. The best of the best, and worst of the worst. He came out of NCR, one of the followers of the apocalypse. Like a lot of the followers, he went out in the wilderness with a partner to try to help those who needed helping. Not much different from how the Rangers used to be, except with books and medicine instead of guns. Out to the Grand Canyon, he met a missionary from Utah, a man by the name of Joshua Graham. Graham helped translate for the followers and the tribes. All 3 of them got nabbed by the Blackfoots down there, back when they were still at war with every other tribe in the Southwest. Somewhere along the way, he realized he needed to educate the Blackfoots or they were going to get wiped out with the rest of the tribe. Showed them how to use guns, how to make explosives. Once he taught the Blackfoots a thing or two, they needed him. And he no longer needed the followers, NCR, or anyone else. He decided he could remake the tribes of the Southwest whether they wanted it or not. He became Caesar, and Joshua Graham became his legate, his right hand. And that's where Graham stayed until Hoover Dam. Losing the dam was the worst defeat the Legion ever suffered. Graham had been with Caesar since the beginning, but he had to set an example. The Praetorians covered Graham in pitch, lit him on fire, and down into the Grand Canyon he went. It's not that clear-cut. You have to understand, Graham was the toughest son of a gun anyone around these parts had ever seen. Before Hoover, we had 5 kill reports on Graham from Rangers and 1st Recon sharpshooters who tried to take him out. Some folks think he's still alive. Call him the Burned Man. Yes and no. The Blackfoots don't exist anymore. Just like any other tribe that gets swallowed by the Legion. Caesar takes the tribal out of the tribe. Scrapes and burns off tattoos, breaks up families, forces mixed breeding so all the old loyalties die away. The only tribe in the Legion is the Legion. Caesar is the chief, father, and God, all rolled into one. Shoot. It's no secret we've had better campaigns. Holding this whole length of river isn't easy. We're stretched thin and the long 15 just keeps getting longer. Slow to get supplies, slower to get reinforcements. NCR's Senate has got funds tied up at the Boneyard. And President Kimball ordered our most experienced rangers to chase ghosts down at Baja. Senate elections are coming up. Local representatives don't want to push any more funding to the Mojave campaign because it's unpopular. Most of the folks around the Boneyard haven't been to New Vegas and probably never will. All they know is that their money gets sucked away to this desert and their brothers, sisters, sons, and daughters die here. It's complicated. It goes way back. I told President Kimball that we need more rangers here. He accepted that, but took the most experienced ones and sent them south. Patrol rangers are good men and women, but we're about to fight a war. You've seen it yourself. Some of them don't even have proper service rifles or armor. Our heavy infantry, power armor units, they're back in NCR territory protecting the interests of Brahmin barons against small-time raiders. Brahmin barons only have one vote at the ballot box, but they have a lot of money to throw around. Shoot. Hold on. If we're gonna have this conversation, let's go somewhere more private. Don't worry, not much bite left in this old dog.
Evening. We won't go quiet. The Legion can count on that. Evening.
Sorting and manipulating intelligence is what I do. It's what Rangers are supposed to do. This job isn't all gunfighting and gulping shots of whiskey, no matter what the boys and ladies out there say. You have you? Misdirection. When you're pinned down, outnumbered, and 2 days from any help, it's just about the best friend you can have. Misdirection's what saved me all these years. It's what saved us at Hoover Dam. But it's been 5 years now, and Caesar's right across that lake. He's closer now than he ever was before. I was a young man once. I know what it's like to want to fight for your home. But this isn't it. It's never gonna end, this fight with Caesar. People back home don't know what these young men and women are in for. The Legion is the worst enemy we've ever faced. But we can't stop Caesar here. Not without getting a lot of good people killed. More than anyone cares to count up. But even if we do stop him, I don't see how we're ever gonna be able to pull out. We're fighting on their behalf, but Mr. House and the families are stringing us up inch by inch. They'll drain us dry while we fight and die over this dam. We offered them sanctuary in NCR territory before, but they won't listen. Troopers and Rangers have been dying here for more than 5 years while the families sit pretty behind that damn wall. People back home don't listen. They don't care. Senators, Brahmin barons, folks who are just trying to make it from day to day. It's been so many years that people forget about it. Conscription brings in fresh troops that die here every month, like it's routine. And even if we hold this dam, what then? Are we gonna send the NCR's men and women to die here for another 5 years? 10? Patrol the whole length of the Colorado for hundreds of miles? Holding this dam, it'll be the death of us. Creating fear and instability among the troopers without causing harm. It's the only thing I could think of to shake things up. It took some people getting killed to realize I'd gone too far. I had to stop. First thing that comes to mind is to turn me in. But that might not be the best play, all things considered. Even if your heart's in the right place, I reckon it might do a lot more harm than good. Oliver can't stand that Rangers got credit for victory at Hoover. Whatever I recommend, he does the opposite. I said I wanted us on the ridge. He put them right on the western part of the dam itself. We don't have enough firepower to hold that spot. If the troopers fall back, and they will, the Rangers will advance to cover Oliver's retreat. We lose the dam, Oliver and the center are ruined. Rangers are volunteers. Every man and woman who signs up is willing to die for the NCR, myself included. A lot of this is my fault. It's only right that I stand with them. I don't know if you're working for Caesar, or if desperation's made me a heck of a lot more persuasive. Either way, this is the right thing to do. Now, I trust we're done discussing this. I'm gonna step through that door and pretend like we never had this talk.
Hello? Hi.
Evening.
Thank you for coming. Let's talk about that robot. I've heard through our channels that it has some research that may be related to Enclave and Poseidon energy technology. I'd like to get what I can from it and use that data for the good of humanity. All of humanity, unlike the Brotherhood. First, I'm going to pull off whatever log data I can. Then I'll use some of the tech around here to upgrade its weapons systems. Shouldn't be more than a few days' work. The Brotherhood is all about keeping technology to themselves and using what they find to protect themselves. They are isolationist and belligerent. I have no doubt that they plan to use the data for weapons research. There are plenty of people here to talk to you about us and our mission. Let's get to brass tacks and talk about that robot. Thank you. I'll get it back to you as soon as I can with the upgraded weapon systems. Hey.
Wish I had a first recon guy looking after me. Oh, hell. What is it now? I've been here since the first push into Vegas. Back in the day, this camp was the hotspot for conflicts with the Legion, Raider tribes, you name it. These days, I spend most of my time trying to beat a little discipline into the soldiers under my command. I've gotten soft with no action. Mostly drill the troops, try to keep the discipline up and combat readiness high. It's not the easiest job in the world. Soldiers without a mission get bored very easily. Still, with the Legion just across the river, we have to be ready. Disappointed. We call them the Misfits for a reason. They're undisciplined, lazy, and they have absolutely no esprit de corps. The squad leader's got some promise, kid named Mags. But as for the rest, I don't see much hope. I'm going to make them shape up if it kills me, though. Or them, for that matter. You're welcome to try. Hell, maybe they'll listen to somebody they don't see as an authority figure. Man, it's my life. I joined up when I was 16. I don't know how to do anything else. Thanks. I only wish some of the soldiers under my command would share some of it. Yeah, whatever.
Hello. I'm assuming you aren't associated with the Army or the Rangers. What can I do for you? To what purpose? It's highly unlikely you'd understand anything I'd say. Suffice to say, I'm a certified genius, and when I'm discharged from this pit of testosterone and failure, I'll have all the money I could ever need. In a strictly official capacity, no. However, as I am by far the most intelligent and resourceful figure on this base, I feel it's safe to say the soldiers here look up to me. I suppose if you must stick with your narrow, parochial view of in charge, then yes, it's a no. Are we done? It's a simple idea. The Army offers fiscal security and generous benefits at the cost of substantial personal risk, if you're on the front line. If you perform too poorly, they'll scrub you out. Perform too well, and you get sent to the front lines. All I have to do is ride that mediocrity gradient to a cushy, do-nothing job miles away from the war. That seems highly illogical. What reason would he have for doing that? This is an unexpected variable. I had hoped to coast on an easy wave of mediocrity to a cushy government pension. And how would you propose accomplishing such a goal? An intriguing proposition. Company readiness reports are logged on the computer systems at the resort. If you hack the system, you could alter our records. Such an attempt, however, is likely to thwart efforts to motivate the squad to do actual work. If such is your goal, you should look elsewhere. As you wish. I'm sure the optimal solution will become apparent to you in time. I somehow suspect you'll be back to converse with me later.
Nelson's back in our hands. Hope we can defend it this time. Howdy, great to see you. They're mostly pretty nice. Poindexter showed me how to make fireworks. Raz kind of scares me sometimes, but I don't mind. He's had a hard life. Well, as it turns out, we had a string of bad harvests a few years back. Pa said he couldn't afford to feed but 3 youngins or we'd starve. As the biggest one, it was my job to go join the Army so's my sisters could eat and so's we wouldn't all be killed by raiders and Jesus would love us. It's all right, I guess. I don't like all the fighting we gotta do, though. To me? I'll tell you what I think this squad needs. A little more basic human niceness. Folks just don't talk to other folks, and everybody's always cross with each other. That'd be swell. Only if they knew the idea came from me, they probably wouldn't take you serious no more. So maybe you ought to think about it first. And I sure hope you're more convincing than I am, or they ain't gonna listen. Okay. Well, I was born on a farm out in California. Weren't much. Me, Ma, and Pa, my 2 sisters, and about 40 acres of corn and Brahmin. Didn't ever have no problems, really, except for some lean years. Then I joined up and got shipped out here to New Vegas. I ain't scared. I just don't like hurting folks is all. Ma always used to tell me, boy, you're the biggest and the strongest, so you mind yourself. Every day she told me that. Guess I done took it to heart. Oh, it's a fine place. The lake is real pretty, and we don't get bothered much by them Legion fellers. Toodaloo. What you want, Holmes? Shit, man, it was this or the Fiends. And Fiends don't last too long in the NCR. At least this way the badasses with the top shelf guns are on my side. What do you want to know? Whole place used to be some kind of rich bastard resort back before the war. Now the Rangers use the old resort and we grunts get to live in tents. Fucking typical. Ain't much to tell. Grew up out west, in the Boneyard. Heard of it? Yeah, not many people have. Wasn't really a good place for kids, you know. I joined up to get out. My family's still back there. We don't talk too much, mostly. Poindexter's a smart-ass prick. O'Hanrahan's a big pussy, ain't good for shit in a fight. And Mags? Well, Mags is cut out for something other than soldiering, you dig? Shit, maybe you're right. Guess I ought to give him a shot. Like I said, you get the juice, we'll cut loose. Whatever. Right.
You've done an excellent job ingratiating yourself to the top brass. I assume this is some sort of stratagem? I somehow suspect you'll be back to converse with me later.
Hell of a battle at Nelson. I'm impressed our troops survived. Not much to tell, really. I grew up in New Reno, joined up, took my shot at being a ranger, didn't make it, so I'm stuck with this crew of jokers. Gee, I don't know. Maybe because I'm saddled with the worst damn unit in the NCR Army. Think that might have something to do with it? Yeah. I mean, no. They're okay people, but they don't care, you know? They don't have any ambition, no drive. They're slacking off, and that reflects badly on me. You really think so? Hell, I guess it's worth a shot. Easy. This is where they send all the fuck-ups and people they don't want. But hey, it's not like I'm bitter or anything. I guess I wanted to make something of myself, you know? Be the best of the best. I wanted to be a ranger, but guess this is as close as I get. Yeah, what about it? I told you we need marksmanship and explosive handling improvements. Are you sure? I've got enough clout to get them started, but these guys are pretty lazy. I doubt they'll want to be pulled in different directions. You're the boss.
Nice job out there.
Glad you're with us.
Okay, everybody's lined up and ready to go. Any suggestions? You heard the man, people. Get focused. I've got the one at 11 o'clock. Raz, O'Hanrahan, take the two on the right. Poindexter, the center. Right. Exhale, squeeze. Focus on the shot. Thanks for the help. I think the whole unit's doing a lot better now. Glad to see you haven't gotten yourself killed yet. It helped, but we still got a grenade range inspection to pass. After the help you gave us at the shooting range, we'll take any advice you've got. I'll line them up. Okay, we've got our dummy grenades and the course is live. We're all set. Right, easy enough. 1, 2, 3. Solid arc. Check. Lob 'em up and over, people. Hold the grenades for groups, squad. Hit them in clusters and send them running. Yeah, I do. Thanks. I think we might survive this now. Glad to see you haven't gotten yourself killed yet. Thanks to you, I think we're in good shape. The squad seems to be functioning much better as a unit now.
We won't go quietly. Legion
While
can
I have
count on
already
that.
internalized the new skills we have discussed, I feel as though my solution is nevertheless more practical.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter.
gotta admit, I'm impressed. The Misfits are drilling better than I ever expected. Yeah, whatever.